Oh dear. 3 Bannerlord videos in a row. I don't know what's going on at the moment, but I did say to you guys after the last video, there was some secret hidden information behind the subscription of the GameStar magazine. We already had some sort of bare bones look at Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord from when one of the article editors went and played the game. But most of the information was behind closed doors. You had to pay for a subscription in order to get to it. And fortunately for you guys, you don't have to do that. Unfortunately for me, I went ahead and I paid for the subscription so I could bring this information to you guys. Hopefully it'll be worth it. There are a few completely new things that I didn't talk about in the last video, but mostly this is going into more detail on what I said last time. We basically just got the bare bones information. This is more detail about it. So some things that have been kept the same in Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord is of course the melee system. This is something that is very well known in the Mount & Blade community. It is something that I think makes the game very unique compared to other first person, third person, medieval and sort of sword fighting games. It has the very easy to learn but difficult to master type combat. And we have a little bit more information on this combat which got me very excited. Because the guy, when he's talking about when he was playing with the combat, he talks about how distance is a very central role in how you come across your attacks. In Mount & Blade Warband, it was more, you slice, you do a certain amount of damage, you stab, you do a certain amount of damage, and then you kill them. In Bannerlord, they're changing it up a little bit. It depends how far away you are from the player or the person you're attacking, depends on how much damage you do. For an example, if you're standing fairly far back and you land a hit, it's only going to be a slight cut, since it's only going to get the tip of your sword through, let's say, their chest or something. That might not kill them straight away, that might not do a ton of damage because it's just going to be a little bit of a cut. However, if you get too close, you might slice in and you might not be able to bring your blade out of the enemy. Now, of course, this is just the rough translation because the whole article is in German. So there are some things in here that might not be the exact confirmed definition, but it's talking about how if you're too close, you might be able to get your blade stuck in an enemy. Now, if this is something that they're putting into the game, I'm really excited to see how that's going to work. That's going to add some interesting dynamics into the battle. It also talks about all the weapons you can get in Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. There are so many more weapons than Warband. Every conceivable medieval weapon you can think of comes from daggers to swords, axes, spears, lances, crossbows, bows, and throwing stones and things like that. And you can even run into battle with your bare fists and smash into the enemy with a bit of a boxing match. I don't know how much damage that will do, but you might be able to knock a few guys out there, especially if they're not very well armored. The blocking works a bit like it did in Warband once again. I'm really glad that they're keeping that combat system since they found what works well and they are keeping true to it. Something that is being added more in Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord is Gore. Now, I know we have seen in some of the gameplay, there's a bit of blood, bit more blood added. In Warband, it was a lot like you crash into many enemies, you slice them with your swords, and you get a lot of jam on you. But in Bannerlord, we have seen blood splatters everywhere, blood splattering every which way onto your sword, onto the enemy's armor, even onto your allies next to you as you carve through the enemy forces. But a bit of the article, I'm going to quote this from you, or of course the rough translation, and it goes a bit like this. I repel with my two-handed sword the blows of the first attacker. I seek a gap and I stab him with the end of my blade through the chest. Blood spills all over the ground and spreads into the sand. Mount & Blade 2 becomes noticeably more brutal than Warband. Now, it looks like we're going to be seeing a lot more gore in Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. To the extent, though, I'm not completely sure. It looks like there's going to be bloody battlefields. After a 500, 600 man battle, there's going to be blood everywhere. There is talk as well of the guy who put his horse archers, or his archers, on top of a hill. And as the enemy infantry came through the river that was below the hill, he rained down hell on them with his archers, and the river was full of blood. Now, I don't know how much of this is just artistic license, exaggerating it a bit, but I'd really like to see some gore. There's some people commenting saying they wanted to see some decapitation and amputation as well. Don't know if that's going to be in the base game. We don't have any information on that, but there will definitely be some mods for that, I'm sure. And I'll get onto modding in a little bit as well. Now, going on to the tournaments. In Warband, going to tournaments is a really good way of getting some decent starting money. And in Bannerlord, apparently the tournaments are a lot tidier and more organised. You see, when you went into a tournament in Warband, you kind of just got random weapons and random equipment. You got the basic gladiatorial type, arena type tunic, and depending on where you are, you got different equipment. For example, if you're in a Swadian place, you most likely have a lance on a horse or a sword and a shield. If you are in a Vega place, you'd have a bow. If you're in a Sounding place, you have javelins and stuff, and so on. But that's going to be different in Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. They said there's going to be a definite tier system to the tournaments. It's called a tournament tree, so to speak. Each party starts with the same equipment. So it looks like on the starting levels, you're going to be fighting against people with less equipment, and as you go up the tiers, as you win rounds, I guess you're going to be fighting people with more equipment, heavier armor, and maybe better weapons. So it's going to get harder and harder as it goes. It's not going to be like Warband, where actually it gets easier and easier as it goes, because they all have the same equipment, there's just less of them. What about a story? We've never really seen a story in Mount & Blade. Of course we had side quests and things like that, but there's never been a main story. And this is going to change in Mount & Blade Bannerlord. I think this is probably going to be one of the biggest changes. Now hold back, if you don't want a story in this sandbox game, don't you worry. There will still be the sandbox game that you can play. But for people that like a more story orientated single player, there's going to be some sort of that in Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. The sandbox of Mount & Blade does not change. You'll still be able to do side quests, build up your army, do whatever you want, but there is going to be a rudimentary main quest. You can follow this, you can do the main missions, and you can go on your journey throughout the medieval world. This should definitely make it a lot easier to get started, but they do want to say that you don't have to do the main quest. You don't have to do it. It is just an option in there for people that like it more. I suspect you're going to gain a lot more out of it, but they do want to keep that sandbox, typical Mount & Blade open world where you go around recruiting stuff into your army like you did in the predecessor. It obviously talks a little bit more about Bannerlord in the cities and villages. There's going to be a lot more to do into that, and I'll get onto that right now. So they did have a bit of a chat with the developers, and the developers did actually show them what the cities and the little towns were giving to the player in Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. In Warband, you had the Elder that gave you some quests, and you had obviously the Nervous Man that was kind of the repercussion of a quest. But there's a lot more to do in Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. For example, you can do things for traders, like get rid of backyard gangsters, or you can do the opposite thing and help organize crime and rob people and tax certain areas. And of course, the NPCs that you have in a party will increase the chances of having different available quests in the location. This is a bit of a quote from the article. In an example quest, they were supposed to get rid of some bandits for a young lady. And they find this gang somewhere off in the depths of the village. But then there is a counter offer they can decide. The criminals then direct the counter offer against the village. For an example, if you're told by this villager, get rid of these bandits, you go to the bandits, you can either slash them down, talk to them, and they might give you a counter offer saying, hey, we'll give you this amount of money, you can lead us if you help us take this village or tax a certain area. And you have the power to decide what you do. You can be honest, or you can turn into a life of crime. So this story is really orientated around you. Of course, there'll be dynamic changes of seasons like we saw in some of the screenshots. And of course, as a lord, you can do things such as expand your village with churches, mines and the like that, and also build massive castles. I expect these are going to really contribute to your economy. You can trade between different villages. So for example, if you have a main city that you want to build upon, you will be able to do that. But if you don't want to be a feudal lord, if you don't want to lead a massive army, or if you want to take another route, and in Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord, you can do this. I did mention some mercenary work that is possible, and I'll be going into detail about that now. You can take away all your responsibility, and you can put it on a region and join another army as a mercenary. Then you'll take to the field with the AI commander, who will take control of your movements on the world map and will order you about on the battlefield. You can work as a professional soldier, and you'll get paid regular wages just like everyone else. Now this is extremely interesting. We've never really seen this from the point of view of the player before. We've always been leading our army into battles, telling the AI what to do. But what if the AI tells you what to do? Now of course this adds in more difficulties getting the AI to be as good as it possibly can and order you to do the correct things in battle. But it means that maybe if you're very low on money, you can't afford to start your own army. you can join another army, get up your money, get your reputation up, and then go off on your own. Of course, the battle mechanics are a lot like Warband. You decide what people do with the function keys, so hold position, attack, and things like that. But of course, it is more detailed in Bannerlord. You can choose the exact position for people to stand. You can choose different formations for them to do, and it's going to be a lot more of a mix between the micromanaging and the macro-managing in a battle. There's going to be a lot more for the players to do, and they're not going to be held back by limited orders or mechanics. As we saw on the screenshots, the battles are extremely impressive, with massive sizes and massive amounts of players on at once. In a conclusion, the battles are precise and powerful, the villages are atmospheric, and really, really great to just walk around and look at. But many detailed mechanics such as forging, quests, and dialogue and skills still need to be massively reworked until the final release, or even just implemented in, because of course this was just an early version of the game that the editor got to play. So in a conclusion, the editor says this: nevertheless, I'm very confident that the wait for Bannerlord will be definitely worthwhile. It will be great for fans of the predecessors, and it's definitely looking up at the moment. So guys, don't worry, it is looking like Bannerlord is on track for a successful release. Now I will leave you with this. I did mention mod support earlier on, and there's a little bit of some interesting things that we've got here. So we do know that mod support is going to be in the game, and it's going to be much more detailed. Mod developers are going to get all the tools that you need to create mods, in-depth mods, changing the whole game into different time eras, different graphical mods and things like that. I'm very excited to see what they can do, and it has been confirmed that full mod support will be implemented in Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord from the very start of its release. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like on it. I did pay for the subscription so I could bring this information to you guys, and I really hope it was worthwhile. If you think it was, hit that subscribe button and share this video around so we can spread this information out. But until then guys, I can't wait for Mount & Blade Bannerlord, and I know you guys can't wait as well. But I will see you in the next one.